As we slowly came out of this supposed pandemic, it seems the powers that be are planning for another big one. The fatigue of draconian lockdowns and restrictions are felt by millions around the world. There are plenty of headline-worthy protests and pushbacks seen on different parts of Europe and other places as a result of these pointless restrictions and prohibitions. Yet the plot thickens even more if what these shadow powers are planning ahead becomes reality. So what are they planning for us this time? If the World Economic Forum is to be believed, we are facing a cyber pandemic on a global scale. As we know, the World Economic Forum is staging an annual simulation exercise called Cyber Polygon. This simulation exercise is intended to simulate a cyber attack on public and private organizations, which can have a potential to affect millions, if not billions, of people all over the world. The 2021 session of Cyber Polygon will simulate a fictional cyber attack with participants from dozens of countries responding to a targeted supply chain attack on a corporate ecosystem in real time. It was interesting for me when I heard Klaus Schwab, the founder and chairman of the World Economic Forum, recently said, I quote, "We all know but pay insufficient attention to the frightening scenario of a comprehensive cyber attack, which would bring a complete halt to the power supply, transportations, hospital services, and our society as a whole." Schwab also added by saying, the COVID-19 crisis would be seen in this respect a small disturbance in comparison to a major cyber attack. This alarmist rhetoric further enhanced by Schwab when he said, quote, "It is important to use the COVID-19 crisis as a timely opportunity to reflect on the lessons of cybersecurity community to draw and improve our unpreparedness for a potential cyber pandemic." When I heard for the first time about the Cyber Polygon simulation exercise and what it entails, I couldn't help but feel a sense of déjà vu. As I recall, the World Economic Forum, in conjunction with the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and Johns Hopkins Center for Health Security, organized Event 201 on October 2019, which was another simulation exercise intended to simulate a biological viral outbreak on a global scale. Lo and behold, just 2.5 months after the Event 201 simulation exercise, the first case of COVID-19 infection is discovered at Wuhan, China, and the rest is history as we know it. The Event 201 and the subsequent coronavirus pandemic is like a movie script that became reality, even though the odds of such possibility is remote at best. Let me come back to the Cyber Polygon simulation exercise and its nuances. During the 2020 session, there were 3 trends identified on how to proceed on combating cybersecurity threats. These are 1. A greater consolidation of resources and collaborations among corporations and states. 2. A plan to deal with fake news, disinformation, and misinformation has yet to be unveiled. 3. A push towards a digital identity that will need to be secured and patented. I don't know about you, but I see a sinister plan brewing at the back of these 3 trends. No doubt that a cyber attack would open a Pandora's box and release an unimaginable crisis on all aspects of society. However, the devil is in the details, and the solution put forward in these simulation exercises could be far more harmful to the individual freedom than the cyber attack itself. Speaking at the Cyber Polygon 2020, former British Prime Minister Tony Blair said, I quote, "Digital ID for me is a big part of the future." He also added by saying, "Inevitably, governments are going to move in this direction, absolutely, inevitably." When you hear such statements, and if you read between the lines, you start to realize that under the guise of foiling a cyber attack, world governments will eventually take every ounce of our individual liberty through a concerted effort. As I alluded to above, if previous pandemic simulation exercises are any indicator of what may lie ahead, it doesn't take a genius to figure out what will eventually happen in the very near future. In the World Economic Forum-backed fictional pandemic simulations of CLADEX of 2018 and Event 201 of 2019, several scenarios were put forward and later came to pass. Moreover, There were some policy recommendations proposed to deal with the COVID-19 pandemic. These scenarios were governments implementing lockdowns worldwide, the collapse of many industries, growing mistrust between governments and citizens, a great adoption of biometric surveillance technologies, social media censorship in the name of combating misinformation, mass unemployment, rioting in the streets, and many more. All of the above mentioned and some other scenarios were already anticipated and taken into account in previous simulations, and yet they all still came to pass. Considering these facts, the question on everybody's mind is, will the scenarios that will come out of the Cyber Polygon 2021 simulation exercise prove to be as prophetic as Event 1 for the COVID-19 pandemic? I will leave that question to you. As for myself, I see these simulations and subsequent pandemics or global crisis events as nothing more than the good old problem, reaction, solution chess match playing out as intended by the orchestrators. Make no mistake, there is no denying that a cyber attack threat is always hovering above our head since the internet became mainstream. However, when a sketchy and diabolical organization such as the World Economic Forum staging a simulation exercise on a cybersecurity threat, you know there is something major is about to happen very shortly. As if the collapse of the entire society in the whole world as a result of a supposed pandemic is not enough, these wicked globalists are about to hit us with a much bigger crisis that will make the COVID-19 pandemic pale by comparison. If what I am saying is far-fetched for some of you concerning the cyber pandemic orchestrated threat, just days ago, JBS, the world's largest meat supplier, was hit by a cyber attack. It has to suspend some of its production as a result of this ransomware attack on its servers. Predictably, the White House blames Russia for the attack and played the geopolitics card on the people. But we know better, don't we? These kinds of protracted cyber attacks on the food supply chain and major economy drivers such as the energy sector will definitely keep happening until the entire world economy collapses very shortly. And then those who fermented the problem in the first place will come with their medicine. The Great Reset agenda, which the World Economic Forum pitching consistently, needed a pretext for enforcing invasive policies against individual liberty. As it turned out, the COVID-19 pandemic was the perfect storm for rolling out the New World Order that many elites, politicians, and royalties of our generation pushing on our throat in every chance they get. As Winston Churchill once said, never waste a good crisis. These shadow powers will do everything in their power to exploit the outcome of the COVID-19 pandemic and the upcoming global cybersecurity crisis to have a firm grip on every aspect of our life. Finally, I just want to say thank you for tuning in, and I hope you spread this message before it's too late. Thanks again, and God bless.